You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
All right, well, welcome back to another episode of E-commerce Fastlane. I am your host, Steve Hutt, and today I'm really excited to welcome John Gargiulo, who is the co-founder and CEO of a company called Airpost, and they're at Airpost.ai. What they are is a video content creation platform that really is changing how Shopify brands kind of produce their social media ads, which I think is massively important. Now, one thing about John's background, I kind of creeped on his LinkedIn profile before recording today. He's got a lot of experience. He was part of the Airbnb team. I think he led the global kind of product marketing for Airbnb. He also has founded two other notable companies. One is called Ready Set, and they're at readyset.co. So it's more of a performance marketing agency, really more around the health and wellness and kind of financial services kind of brands. That's kind of what they do, kind of done-for-you services. He also is part of Sleepless, and they're at sleepless.ai, which is another kind of creative platform that's offering brands kind of a round-the-clock access to designers and video editors for their marketing needs. But today's episode, we're really going to focus on this Airpost. And John and his team, from what I can see, has really developed a very unique approach to video production. They have a studio in downtown LA, and there they can capture professional video footage. And then with their platform, they're able to create these really engaging social media ads. And I think what makes this very special, from my opinion, is they've streamlined the entire process. So brands now can actually get fresh video content daily for a very flat monthly fee. So it's really interesting kind of what they've done. And I know how important having video is for a D2C brand. So I think this is really good timing. So hi, John. Welcome to E-commerce Fastlane.
Thank you, Steve. You're really good at describing each of those companies. So thank you. It was very well articulated.
Oh, that's fantastic. So before we kind of dive into Airpost, I would love to hear about your early days in advertising, because I think everybody has a story that leads up to why they do what they do today. And I know you worked, on some, or what I can call iconic campaigns. You were I think you're involved with Snapple and Quiznos, and you've done a lot of things. And I just want to know if there's any lessons that you've learned from kind of the traditional kind of advertising days, and then how do you see that be applied towards what you're doing now for content production through Airpost?
Yeah, I mean, I come from the brand marketing world, started my career in agencies as a creative, and quickly learned that Mad Men world really cares about getting it perfect, coming up with a really funny ad or something that will get people talking. No worries about spending 5 months and $500K and 50 meetings to just get it right. And, fast forward 25 years, performance marketing world doesn't work like that, right? You've got a new product, you're on Shopify, you need to sell more than you spend ASAP. And so people don't have that luxury. And that's why we started Ready Set in 2019, which was to just 10x the efficiency of getting video content. We work with DoorDash, Robinhood, Hims and Hers, bigger enterprise plans. And we shoot hundreds of them a week in LA and with remote content creators. And then we thought, boy, really could use this video content is this huge blue ocean of people starting e-commerce brands, people who are just them wearing 16 hats facing all different ways. Dealing with their 3PL and the UPS guy and the next product line and, running out of inventory. And they don't have the money or time to go hire a big fancy agency. They've probably plowed through 3 or 4 already. And so Airpost is a way to get them good video content orchestrated by AI that solves that problem.
Yeah, it made me laugh because I was thinking, you say yes to something, it means no to something else. And you're right with 16 hats. And if it's yes to some other project or something you're working on, it's no to not having updated ads, which is really the driving force of your business, having fresh video content.
I meet e-commerce founders every day. I talk to 1 to 3 customers of Airpost. Many of them still have the same, 6 static ads running from 10 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's just because they haven't had a chance to get to it. And if you and I looked at their list of 27 priorities every day, it just doesn't rise into the top 10. So this is meant to help with that.
Yeah. So let's hear the story about, so now here we are, fast forward, now we're at Airpost now. So what made you realize that, is it really just the time, or is it a technology thing? Is it or is it just an outsourcing challenge where it was just too expensive in the past? Because you have a very interesting approach to studio plus technology. And I'd like to learn more about that and how that all came to be.
Yeah, that's right. So, there's a couple of things happening right now with AI and creative. There's the pure AI, I call it person staring creepily at the camera, talking, lip syncing. You all can picture what I'm saying here.
Oh, yeah.
And, you can write a script for them. You can put some stuff in the background. You build those one by one. It takes quite a bit of time. The lip syncing will get really good. It's not really good yet. And most of those companies are driven by tech founders, engineers who've never had to actually, put performance marketing ads into Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and have them work, which is the world we come from. We're taking a different approach. And as far as we know, there's nobody else doing this, which is building the ads end to end. And you said it well, mixing together the sort of footage that some e-commerce companies already have, or photos that you have that we can bounce off of a video AI platform and turn into videos, with the 300,000 plus clips, 350,000 now, that Airpost owns exclusively. This is the world's biggest vertical video library. I haven't heard of a bigger one yet anyway, of UGC style. I'm talking about all kinds of actors, all kinds of ages, doing all of the things, problem sleeping well, on a date, on a run, doing push-ups, integrating, mixing all of that footage in with the founder's footage, with AI-generated voiceovers and scripts, with concepts, with motion graphics. And what that leads to is just a bunch of tiles on the screen, filterable and sortable, of really finished ads that are ready to shape. So that's what Airpost does.
Oh, that's very interesting. So I always think of from this perspective, it's like there's going to be marketers that are listening right now that say, okay, I don't want to lose a job. Everyone's already worried about AI is going to be replacing them. And so what do you say to marketers that are listening now saying, no. Our platform is actually going to enhance the quality of the work and the performance of the work you do by leveraging our platform. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I feel sometimes there can be a pushback a bit about wanting to adopt a new platform or a process.
Yeah, I think there's short-term and medium-term and long-term, right? I heard a guy recently, I think it was the co-founder of Intercom, say, in the fullness of time, AI will do everything. So, if you find yourself in a conversation with someone saying, well, but OpenAI or AI is going to just do that, the answer is, yeah, they're probably right, but it might be decades before, robots are making our Subway sandwiches.
Yeah.
In the short term, I would say, in the medium term even, there's some truth to the fact that, marketers who don't use AI will get beaten out and lose their jobs to marketers that do. I think there is truth to that. And in the short to medium term, tools like Airpost and others that give a creative or a marketer crazy amounts of leverage, where you click a button to make 100 ads and not little ads, not little tweaks, like wildly different ads with wildly different real actors, different scripts, different frameworks. Some of them might be a minute long. That's a superpower for somebody. So, I can't predict what this will look like in 10 or 20 years. A lot of things people think long-term will lead to certain things or replace certain people. And then you fast forward decades and that just does not happen or even close. And then the other side of things, it's like, the word computers comes from the fact that there were humans who had a job at work at the insurance company in 1923, and their job was called to be a computer. And they just took, pieces of paper and they arranged them on spreadsheets and collated them. And, and now we have computers on those desks. And by the way, there are more people working in insurance companies by 10x than there were then. So it can just be an evolution. So short answer is we don't know, but you've nailed it. In the short term, we want to be a super tool.
Yeah. So how do marketing teams typically blend the Airpost assets that are created kind of into their existing process? Because I guess I'm trying to figure out what the workflow actually looks like from, using your platform along with their usual testing and kind of selection methods.
Good question. So this is what it looks like end to end. You go to Airpost.ai, it's going to ask you, what's your PDP? What's your product detail page, URL? what's your Shopify link, what's your Amazon link or whatnot. You put that in and it unfurls all of these questions that have already been answered. What are the top 15 value props for your brand? Unique ingredients or characteristics, do's and don'ts. And it's, there's a draft answer to all of them. You can slide around the value props of what's important, et cetera. From there, there's a media section. So you can upload, not one by one, not a bunch of work, but just like, here's a drive folder, here's a giant folder on my computer with 3 gigabytes of videos. And we have proprietary tech that sifts through all of that, finds the 1 to 5 second clips with no supers or copy over them, from that influencer 3 years ago that did an ad that didn't work, but,
Right.
got some good footage of your product in their yard, pulls all that into the media section. You can X out anything you don't want to be in the ads. And then it says, great. And then it goes and makes you hundreds of ads, starting with under 100, but eventually it'll be thousands. And those are made up of your media that you've uploaded, our 350,000 clips that I mentioned, and it's mapped to these creative frameworks that we know perform.
I see. What about brands that have either celebrity endorsers or they have kind of like high profile influencers that are currently working with the brand that have been somewhat successful in those sorts of endeavors? How do you blend like their video footage along with like the PDP page and then your own wholly owned video products?
Yeah, good question. And blend is a good word, right? It's like, It's first principles. It's what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to make ads that get me sales quickly. I've got this celebrity footage to work with, this influencer footage. I know what I want and I don't want. That's the brief, right? So that's part 1 of 3 I mentioned. Media is part 2, which is upload those clips from that celebrity endorser. And then part 3 is the ads just make themselves. The AI for us, you're not prompting anything. There's no weird AI looking people. The AI is working in the background to take all of those ingredients and have our robo chefs, put together dishes based on recipes, the performance ad frameworks we know work, and then send it out to the floor, the platforms, and see what works and what doesn't. And what'll come in 2025, 26 is actually getting the data back of what's working and tuning the dishes we make based on, what the people out on the floor are saying.
I see. Now, what about TikTok shops? Because I think that, with these Gen Z buyers, maybe young millennials, they tend to look up to and appreciate people like them, or at least in their same age category. So is there a mindset or is there some kind of a development process that goes along with, TikTok made me buy it and the type of people that need to resonate?
That's one of our performance frameworks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you need to have talent, and that's part of the briefing. It's sort of like auto briefing, because briefing is a big pain. So it helps that it writes itself and you just start editing it, which is, maybe I want only Gen Z women in my, hair care brand for Gen Z women. So yes, you can circumscribe it in that way, kind of curate what you want. And TikTok Shops is a terrific avenue that we're seeing work really well at our digital agency, Ready Set. So that's something definitely that you could sort of narrow in on.
Very cool. So this is gonna be a funny question for you, but because you're in this market, if you were to scroll through your own social media feeds right now on your phone, what kind of common mistakes do you see? Now, some things might make you cringe that for a fact that Airpost really avoids a lot of these pitfalls.
Yeah, good question. I would say the most uncringy stuff is cringy. And what I mean by that is that people tend to want to put beautiful, polished photos, videos, and those are not only more expensive and more hard to get right and take a lot more sunk cost and manual work, but they don't perform as well. There are exceptions to that, like there are exceptions to everything.
Right.
But what people want to see on their phones, on TikTok, on Instagram, are real people. Is somebody that looks, feels genuine. People are very smart. They're very intuitive. They can sense if someone's, paid or they actually have used this product. Speaking in detail, educating me on what it is about the product that's worked for them, who they are, the problem that it's solved. And again, some of these ads go on for a minute and a half. Maybe there'll be 6 or 7 people talking. The lighting is not perfect. The polish is not perfect, but that's actually what tends to perform. And that's why Airpost is very focused on that UGC native feel.
Right.
It's not a TV commercial. It should feel native to TikTok.
Yeah. I noticed on the website too that there's a link in the corner that says join the wait list. And so hopefully I don't put you on the spot here, but it'd be great. And I do see some different quotes and things going by from current and past customers. But is there any client, current or past, that's a favorite as far as maybe you have a good customer story and maybe, maybe their brand's video process was like this, and then they found Airpost, and what kind of results are they seeing now they're switching over to your kind of studio model?
Yeah, I'll talk about this one brand. This guy is by himself. You wouldn't know it from looking at the site because it's a very nice site.
Really?
It's, a lot of people can relate.
Solopreneur.
Yeah. It's a vegan egg substitute. So it's like a kind of powdery mix and, looks very good. I haven't tried it myself. He signed up for the wait list, got to the front, did the whole thing. And we also used AI to make shots out of his photos. So that's something that's coming very soon at the very start of 2025, by the way, where you have some really nice photos on your site. We could take those photos and animate them, essentially bring them to life, even bring a person or hand into the frame. So we did that for him. We did some really nice end cards that used AI as well. He didn't have much to work with, but we took what he had. We made a lot of hay out of it. We blended it with everything that we have. We built all those frameworks and voiceovers and everything. By the way, all this happens with our AI. There's no people in the machine, which is endemic in a lot of AI companies. And we've gotten a lot of these emails, but this one went around Slack a lot that day. He just wrote, "Holy shit, you guys are geniuses. This is amazing." Because it was just one guy and and now he's got 100 ads and he likes a lot of them. And now he's getting new ones every day. And it shows his product in a nice form. Some of the footage he had that we used as well. So, not every customer says that, right? We're only months into this thing, but that was a nice customer story.
Oh, man, it's amazing. I logged into Perplexity for a second and it said, I'm trying to find a solo founders that have any vegan kind of...
I'll introduce you to him. I just didn't ask him in advance if I could talk about it, but I'm happy to introduce you.
Maybe in the future, we'll think if he does say yes, it'd be nice to put his case study maybe in the show notes and stuff like that. I think it's fun because people just love to know like what does great look like, and then like to see what others potentially are doing and be inspired by it, right? The past kind of can pay it forward to the next generation of people, or people that are doing them.
Oh man, I've talked to so many, because I talk to a few a day. I've talked to so many customers that have had this work for them, getting sales from the ads. I would say if you're someone who just has churned through agencies, or I really feel that there's this big gap, Steve, between like what people can afford when they're starting out their e-commerce brand and what a good agency can do for the money. So like I interviewed this one woman, she has a skincare brand, and she's like, I just fired my agency. They're running all the media for me. They're doing all the creative. They use Canva. They come up with some statics. I'm like, oh, that's too bad. And I said, how much were you paying them? And she said, $1,000 a month. What group of humans on the planet for $1,000 a month can really do a good job? And she's a good founder and she had high standards, but like, there's just a big disconnect there. And so Airpost, again, back to first principles, it's like marketing is about putting things out there that help you make more money than you spend. And we're just building for that, because I think the agency model just doesn't work for SMBs that are getting going on Shopify.
Yeah. So from your kind of, I don't say from your unique position, but because you understand what the technology and the creative side of this sort of like ad creation process, like, are there anything that you can kind of talk about what the future? You made one comment saying that, hey, maybe there's going to be a time when we can know which particular ad creatives are working well, and over time can start fine tuning it based on campaigns and brands, and you kind of get that feedback loop going. Other than that, is there anything else you can see maybe that's potentially launching in 25?
Yes. Agents. So our goal with Airpost long-term is to be an AI super agent for advertising. The difference between an agent and just general AI that's going on today is that AI can think. You can talk to Perplexity, you can talk to ChatGPT, you can chat back and forth with it,
right.
But it can't do. That's changing.
Yes,
Anthropic's already come out with something.
Yep.
Right? OpenAI is coming out with Operator next year.
Yeah.
If you're super nerd out on this stuff, you can go build something really easily that'll go do something sort of. But these agents are going to get smarter and smarter. We're building in this space as well. And imagine, even in late 2025, you can say, hey, I just listening to Steve Hyde, and he was talking about TikTok shops, and I want to try TikTok shops. And it's like, you could be slacking with a AI agent,
right.
Or you could be using a platform and say, try TikTok, generally. And it's like, great, we'll go set up an account for you, or maybe you set up the account in 2025 and like give us access And then it can do things. It can move the mouse around the screen. It can buy media. And you don't have to go figure it out and do it and take a course on TikTok shops. You can just talk to the agent like an agency and say, cool, like go spend $500. Yeah, that creative looks good. Let me know what happens. Ask it, what's going on? What's my top performing ad? Once things go agentic, that is the world we'll live in. There's no question in my mind that the craziness I just described is going to be the way advertising works. I don't know if it's going to be in 1 year or 10 or 20, but that's what we're building towards.
The AGI thing, right? The artificial general intelligence.
Well, then, yeah, then things get really crazy. Yeah.
Gets even wilder. So only a few more questions before I know you're busy and I want to kind of keep things rolling here. But like, what happens if someone decides that they want to work with Airpost? Can you kind of walk us through that journey? I know you kind of mentioned it, but the moment that someone signs up and says, okay, here is my first kind of fresh batch of video ads, because I really think that our listeners would love to know exactly what to expect maybe in the first few weeks of signing up.
Yeah, good question. And it depends when this comes out. I will say, why don't I speak, Steve, to the end of Q1 2025?
Okay.
Because we're going to wake up tomorrow. That's going to be, February. So
okay. Fair enough.
All right. Because a lot's going to change and I'm really excited about it. So the wait list has been insane. We stopped even like putting ads or anything out there a while back. We're still working through that. Where things will be, if you go into Airpost.ai in Q1, especially late Q1 of 2025, is it'll ask you, what is the URL? You put that in. You edit the inputs, again, around value props and do's and don'ts, things like that for your product, sale that's on, talk about Prime Day, talk about Thanksgiving, whatever it may be, seasonal stuff. You upload a bunch of media. There's no work there. You can just literally drag and drop. And we have our own media and we have our own, AI and scripts. And then within not months or weeks or days, but an hour, you have ads that you can review, you can edit, you can say, change the copy here or there, change the voiceover track. You can go to that media library and X out swaths of stuff you don't want to see in your ads. That's it. So I know it sounds kind of nuts because it's 100x faster and it's compressing that cycle of revisions and waiting for the agency to get back to you. Well, it's the weekend. No, it's all done for you end to end. We're the only ones that are building these end to end that we know of, the footage, everything. And that's it. And it's month to month and it's a subscription. And if you don't like it, you don't continue. But yeah, if you like it, it could be pretty compelling.
Yeah, it's very affordable too. I think it's like $149 a month.
Yep. Yeah, and at that time, it'll be a little more expensive most likely. And you'll get about 5 ads for that. You'll get 10 ads for $350. But it's still, in all the customer interviews I do, one theme is, quote, too good to be true pricing. Like they think it's a scam because how can I get all those video ads for, $150?
Yeah. Okay. This is amazing. All right. Well, what I'll do then is I'll make sure I put all of these details in the show notes. You're right about likely everyone listening now is likely going to be Q1 of 2025. And so the website at Airpost.ai will be updated, landing page and offers and things like that. We'll have all the details on the show notes page. This is exciting. I really feel very fortunate that I, first of all, had you on the show today because I appreciate what you're building. And I know that a lot of founders and marketers are a little bit, they know they need it. They know they're going to be left behind, but they need these sorts of 30-minute conversations to go, no. This is available because I didn't know about your solution literally 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's all very new. I feel really fortunate, Steve, to be talking with you and this audience as well.
Fair enough.
And I love meeting with customers because it's a big problem, and we're trying to solve it.
Yeah, well, you're clearly doing it. So this is lovely. Thanks, John, for recording today. Thanks for building this platform and continue really helping Shopify in their ecosystem. These direct-to-consumer founders and marketers, they really do need, I call it incrementality, but like a little bit of extra testing, a little bit more to kind of like squeeze out a little bit more profit, a little more lifetime value, creating brands. I think you're really onto something really exciting here.
Thank you. Hope so.
All right. Have yourself a great afternoon.
You too.
Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.